And we're back. This is the second video. The previous one being about my Flash escapades on Newgrounds. This video is gonna be a little bit different. Well, it's gonna involve me showing Flash movies that I did in the past, and okay, it's about the same really, just lower quality this time. This is more just if you're interested in the stuff I was doing in the background, stuff that didn't quite get finished, stuff I just did, really. At one point I had to do this big mass exodus of my files, so a lot of my files just say they were last modified in 2008 or at the same time, so it's quite hard to tell which one came first. I've ordered them chronologically as well as I can, so let's go. This is the first thing I ever animated, have a look. Wasn't that good? Well, next up is the next thing I ever animated. Wasn't that also good? Apologies for not knowing who did the art here. I never published this anywhere else, so if you're the artist, I must have liked your art back then and used it, sorry. This one's almost as good as another Wario, isn't it? I suppose you could call this one another Wario V0. Another thing I've noticed is when I have big castle shots, it generally doesn't work out by the end of it. This is one of them. This next one will take some explaining. In the house in London when I was young, my dad would draw stuff on the wall for me. In fact, even before that, when we lived in a high-rise flat, he did this sort of mural of Rupert the Bear. I don't think I have any photographs of it to show. But yeah, he basically just drew on the walls, really, for my entertainment. I appreciated it, certainly. Here's some cool photographs. He did these when I was like 6 or 8 or somewhere around there. So using some of these designs, I tried putting this together, and I think I wanted him involved as well.
We must try and get rid of these cobwebs, Miss. Very good, sir.
So, the idea of skyscrapers in general is also from my dad, because a thing he used to tell me a lot for no real reason was that he never understood what skyscrapers were. He was a poor boy in Belfast in like the 50s or something, so, you know, he wouldn't know what skyscrapers were, probably. Don't really have any around here. Imagine someone going up a really big ladder into the sky with a rake or something and scraping cobwebs off the sky. Yeah, I don't know. This one was after the original Be Safe guide that I made, the one that got blamed, and obviously, as you'll see, I still didn't know how to use Flash properly. My sprite manipulation had gotten a bit better though.
Wow! Hey, ow! No! Yeah!
Most of the WarioWare sprites were from Twisted, which I didn't get to play at the time because it never came out in the UK, from what I remember. I did eventually get to play it on the computer, but it's not quite the same if you're not waving the Game Boy Advance around, is it? I'm not sure what the ending part there was. I think it was WD being annoyed that there was either no one cheering for him at all, as opposed to Wario having an entire cast of people, or maybe there's just one person who's just cheering for him really pathetically. Whatever it was, I didn't finish it. So this next one, the Super Mario 64 DS parody. I think this is one of those, I can think of some stuff to reference that people playing it recently would get, but I guess I ran out of steam quickly because I was trying to actually draw stuff, which made me disheartened. And it was in Paint, and then imported it into Flash, because I hadn't figured out how to draw in Flash yet. This is obviously around the time that Super Mario 64 DS was out, and I was playing it on the original DS, where the screen is still very difficult to see.
Tell you what, I'm not even gonna bother.
Maybe this was a bit after I learned about emulation and played through Super Mario RPG and then did Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64, I'm not too sure. It's also the hill again from another Wario. I don't know what this logo was for. It's here. I found it in my files. Have a look. Here's another holiday story with this Paper Mario 2. I was on holiday somewhere, I can't remember, I think it was somewhere in England because I think we drove there and drove back. On the way back we hadn't really gotten much, it was mostly just stay somewhere for a week and then go home. On the way back there was this weird shop and I saw Mario Power Tennis for the GameCube in there and I took it. Well, I bought it, I didn't nick it. The intro, I'm sure most people have seen it, is mostly Wario and Waluigi just bollocksing around and graffitiing and going, "Hey Mr. Eyeballs, Mr. Crazy Eyeball Man!" And it's probably the best intro I've seen for a Mario game really, because it was mostly the wah, which is always a good thing for me. So that was obviously quite influential, and I'm mentioning this because there's another version of this file that's exactly the same, only after this scene you get the music from the intro of Mario Power Tennis. So obviously I wanted to incorporate that into it somehow. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and was out for walks with my dad or whatever, we'd pass a lot of garden walls due to living in an urban place like London. So I used to run my hand over it, like not brush my hand over walls, but I'd like have my middle and index finger moving to and fro like legs to sort of run across the tops of the walls like it's a platform game as you walk. I could be the only person who's ever done that in the history of the world, but I doubt it. I remember my dad saying once that there should be a video game of it, because he was trying to say something that I could relate to, which he hasn't tried to do in about 20 years. I lied to try and sound smart, as most children do, about things their parents don't understand. I was like, yeah, there is already. It's called Mega Man. P.S. I'd never played Mega Man, and I probably hadn't even heard of it at the time. In the same vein, you could look out the side of the window as you're being driven somewhere and just, I don't know, imagine Sonic running across the thing, and that's what I did here, because I filmed out the window and, yeah, don't know. It didn't work very well. Zombie crossover, I remember this one. I wanted to do a bit of a crossover. As usual, I didn't really think about what I wanted to have happen in any way, just I want to have a bunch of characters I like in it. I had an extremely vague notion, and then it just petered out.
Yeah.
I remember being really proud of the Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga star transition. I'd gotten it from a sprite sheet and put each frame in individually without holding shift at all from the looks of it, and it was painstaking. I didn't want to mess with it again. I was like, it's actually pretty good. I've tried quite a few times to make a Mario fights a bunch of stuff animation because some of the stuff I used to watch back then just did that. I guess Rise of the Mushroom Kingdom did that quite a bit and had some really cool stuff, I remember. All these attempts always petered out until Mario's new secret weapon.
It's me, Mario. Here we go. Here we go! Let's go!
So, do you remember the Be Safe guide from the last video? If you watched the last video. If you did, thank you very much. So I tried to remake it again like twice. I made the original, put it on Newgrounds, it got blammed, and then I made this one before I made the, the good one. So have a look.
That's right, the guy who gave you another Oreo comes Be Safe version 2, starring Kirby and WD. Special thanks to Learning and Skills Council for making the Be Safe book that this is a big rip-off of. Tidiness.
So by now I'd learned that I didn't have to draw everything in MS Paint and then import it into Flash. I could just draw in Flash. I was obviously not using the line tool, I was just using the brush tool, and having no skill at drawing, it really didn't turn out too well. Oh god, it's got my second oldest website address there. This one being the MEKkingdom.pwp.blueyonder.co.uk, which I haven't had to say out loud for like a long time. It's called that because it was to do with our internet provider, which was Blue Yonder back in the day. I can't remember if it was dial-up back then or it was like the step up from dial-up, because we began with dial-up then upgraded. I guess it gave us like a free web address, kind of like GeoCities, maybe with less under construction GIFs. Bit of an aside here, but speaking of dial-up, does anyone here remember Walter's World? I always called it Watler's World for some reason, I don't know. I remember searching up something back in the day, and the description subtitle thing it had on Google, the only thing it said was, "Did somebody say video games?" And I clicked it going, what's this about? It turns out it was super extensive. This guy had managed to make games in the browser itself. Like, not Flash, and I don't think HTML5 was a thing. It was actually GIFs, like GIFs and PNG files, really small ones, like icon size, and he was using those as sprites. So you could actually right-click and save the sprites he was using, but you could also control them. So he had a little Mario GIF, and there was multiple levels, and the levels were different pages, and you had to get to the end to get to a new page. And I remember I'd open a bunch of links while online so I could look at them in my own time when offline. This was back in the day of dial-up, so I didn't want to tie the phone line up and have to keep connecting and disconnecting, so, you know, you go to a site that looks likely, like, I suppose Metroid Database was another big one for me too, and you just open a ton of links, and then it all gets saved in the cache, or the cache, or however you pronounce it, and then you could just have a look at it in your own time when you're offline. I remember asking my mum if I could go online to get to the next level, because I had managed to beat a level that was quite difficult. I asked her while she was asleep in the living room. There was a period when my mum was sleeping on a mattress in the living room, and that's where the computer was. But yeah, I ended up trying again with the Be Safe guide later, using the line tool instead. It turned out a lot better, and if you saw the other video, you've already seen it. So these logos, I don't think I ever actually used them. I did film the two things in the background. I learnt about masking, and then I did this. This must have been after version 2 of Another Wario, but way before V3. It's using the Neobyte menu that he let me use for the Be Safe work guide, and I think I wanted to customize it so I could switch stuff around easily and use it for all my future stuff. I'm not sure if it was going to be for Another Wario V1 and V2 together, you could watch both, or this was going to be a stab for V3. Back when I used to live in London, we'd go to West End every so often and go to the centre of London and just go around. I used to go to Forbidden Planet, used to go to Chinatown, hang around there, it was nice. I saw a poster once. I think it was around there I got this poster that I thought was sort of funny at the time. It had a bunch of philosophical phrases but using the word shit instead. I guess I thought it was funny, and I considered animating them with WD. Oh, what the world missed that I didn't finish that off, eh?
Shader. Shader. Shader.
Oh boy, this is a big one. So, for my old website, one of my old websites, because I made about 4 or 5, I did a lot of website stuff for myself. The first one, even before the MEKkingdom, was ITLO, which stands for In the Land of Eren, back when I was calling myself Eren, and there's a lyric on my dad's songs that's literally In the Land of Eren, so I went with that. I came up with MEK with a really stupid way, actually, and I don't really tell anyone because it's a bit embarrassing. Only a few people know about it. But I'll just say it here instead. I was into emulation a lot back in my mid-teens. I hadn't played Kirby Superstar before. It was actually my first Kirby game, apart from Kirby's Dream Course that we bought off of one of my mum's friends. For a game that's just kind of golf but with Kirby on, it's actually really good. I really enjoy that game. I've played it recently again with friends. It's really good. The music is quite special to me because I used to play it with my mum. But yeah, Superstar had a big effect on me, and I love Meta Knight and Marks the most. I remember I was biking around by myself in my then kind of quote-unquote friends neighborhood, and I thought of Meta Erik Knight, and then as I was like dramatically cycling and doing like one of those leaning turns, I was like, my god, MEK is born. So yeah, that is literally the origin. It also sounds like mech, like mechanical. I've always gravitated to robotic, abstract, and faceless hidden face or silent characters, as I never really related to anything most of the time in my life. With them, though, I felt some kind of kinship, I suppose, or projection, or empathy. So Meta Knight, Metal Sonic, Metallics, the other Metal Sonic, the big silver one from Sonic 2, which is cool with the big buzzsaw spines, E102 Gamma, Android 17, the big daddies from Bioshock, the Payday 2 Cloakers, Pyramid Head, Guardian Hieroglyph from Earthbound, Candyman from Lethal League, Jason Voorhees, Dead by Daylight's Legion is one of my favourites, Evil Within's Keeper, Plague Doctors, Abyss Watchers, Gale, nearly most characters from Dark Souls because they're all kind of like that, Forced from Guilty Gear, Beef Boss from Fortnite of all things, Phoenix Man from One Punch Man, love him, Jeff from Scud, very abstract. I mean, there's so many. Obviously I didn't know all these wonderful characters back then, but it's certainly a pattern. And of course, Count Bleck from Super Paper Mario, the last good Paper Mario game in my opinion. I mindlessly bought the next one sticker star because I'd already played Mario RPG, Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, Super Paper Mario, and it was an A+ S tier Super 11 out of 10 series. So of course I'm gonna buy the next one without even thinking about it. I played it for about 20 minutes and was like, oh the hell with this, and completely gave up on the entire series. Anyway, Count Bleck had quite the influence on me, so my name changed to Count Mac because it had a better ring. I generally consider any kind of moniker using royal or importance in a name a bit of a red flag in usernames. Like if you're called King something, then I generally expect you're probably not a great person. It's not always true, it's just a bit of a first impressions thing I suppose. But for me it was just because I liked Count Bleck so much, and also it kind of rhymed. So with websites, I was mostly trying to make them with Flash. Beforehand, I had tried making them using, I don't even know what you call them. Are they called petitions, where you have different web pages being shown in different sections of a page? I don't know if I have many of these on record. I might have them all on floppy disk somewhere, but I do have 1 or 2 screenshots here. That's my old stuff. I think I wanted to make something like Walter's World, with a bunch of stuff that I could update easily and make a cool place to visit. Obviously, basically no one visited the site and it died in the cold when I started renewing the hosting prices. I don't think I had many records at all, it was just a more personal records with the offer of putting other people's on there too. I used to be well into Tamagotchis. I remember having 3 or 4 at once. I remember the Dinky Dino one was the first one I ever got, which wasn't a real Tamagotchi, it was more of a Neopet I think. And I got this alien one that was very similar called Toko Saijin. I had the classic Tamagotchi, it was like a red one, and then I got the Angel one, which was hard as hell to look after, especially when it ended up growing up to have 2 heads, and if you turned the light off when it wasn't going to sleep it would get sick and start dying, and it got really demanding. And I remember when we went on a holiday once, there was a Tamagotchi box that had one of the things saying, "Take me home," and I was like, "I'll try," and I nearly kissed the box in the shop, and I was like, "Mom, can we get it?" She was like, "No, you've already got one." So then I ended up turning the light off in the car on the Tamagotchi and it died, so, oh. I remember having a Tamagotchi, like a knockoff one that had multiple different things you could choose to have. So there was a load of different, it was one of those 15-in-1 kind of things. It had loads. I have photos of some of them all here. Also, I just pulled some of these off of Google, so. I remember buying Taku Saijin. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I got it in Angel Edmonton or somewhere, and I was trying to read the name out and wondering what to call them out loud to my mum as she was unlocking the front door when we were going home. And she said something like, you could call them Toko when they're good and Saijin when they're bad. I still have them all somewhere. A memory that isn't mine but from my significant other. They said that their family didn't realise that you could just restart them, so once they died they just threw them in the bin. I used to write stuff about the Tamagotchis I had. Same with the Chow section coming up, I'm gonna have to explain that a bit. Also, I remember with how I did the text at the end when it lands, it was originally cut off at a very unfortunate point. I was asked by someone I showed it to if it was meant to say I'm hungry, and they suggested I fixed it. I wasn't really sure what they meant, but now when I remember it, it makes me laugh because the idea of the big Tamagotchi falling down on it from the sky and just saying I'm hung is pretty hilarious. I'm quite a big fan of Sonic. This is not the start of a creepypasta, don't worry. I got the Mega Drive before I got the Super NES. I can't remember the age I must have been, I don't know, 4, 6? I was born in 1990, but we got all the consoles quite late. I was born into a house with the NES, and then we got the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis in America, and then eventually got a Super NES. I know that we got the Super NES second because I went to a family friend's house. The family friend was a sister of the one who sold us Kirby's Dream Course later on, but their son had Super Mario World. I'd only played Super Mario 1, 2 and 3, and Yoshi was new to me, and I kept calling him Louie on the way home because I had played a lot of the Bomberman game on the Sega, where you get the Louies, which are the kangaroo guys. You ride them around, same as Yoshi. Anyway, I played the Sonic games, 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, Spinball, and 3D Blast. I remember having dreams about the 3D game because I was so excited about it. One of my dreams was I was Amy or something, just in a white void as part of the intro of the game that I imagined, and then Metal Sonic was coming to snatch me/Amy away before the Sega logo came in. That was one of the scariest dreams I had, and then I remember on the way home after getting it, I was looking at the box and I couldn't imagine playing the game. It was like the future was just going to stop, to the point where I was afraid that we were going to die on the way home. I said to my mum, please be careful driving, because I feel like we're going to die because I'm not going to be allowed to play this game. Then I played it and I didn't like it. I played it again since and I beat it, it's just okay. This is all leading up to a point, I hope. So the first game I got after Sonic 3D, so a good 10 years later or something, was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which I got on holiday to Bournemouth in some weird tiny in-shop thing. I remember being unsure about getting it, but the guy working there reassured me that it wasn't a fighting game, because I thought, hey, it's got battle at the end. I remember on the long drive home from Bournemouth to London, there was a car in front of us and there were some kids at the back of the car in front of us, and they kept looking back at us. I was in the back seat, and I had Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on me, and I remember peeking at them and then sort of making the game box peek from behind the seats as well, and I was asking my mum how they're reacting. She said, oh, it looks like they got excited. Anyway, 2 Battle was really good for the time, and I still think it's a cool game. I haven't gone back to it for a while. But the Chow Garden thing was amazing. I think my mum used to play that as well. It was really cool. I really wish they'd bring it back, and I've already talked about my disappointment in Heroes that they did away with it altogether and haven't really done it properly since. I wrote tons and tons about the various Chow I had. The first one I ever had, and I still remember, is called Lolo, named after the main character from the Adventures of Lolo 2, which we had on the NES, because you had Lolo and Lala. Can't remember if they're related or in a relationship. I think it's brother and sister, which is Prince and Princess, and he's got a saber. There was 3 games in it, but we only had 2. There's a puzzle game that's quite hard, it's by HAL, people who made Kirby. And in fact, they showed up in Kirby Superstar later on as bosses, as La 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 and Lo Lo Lo. I think they're in the anime as well. tragically, I lost all my GameCube saves because I was using one of those third-party memory cards that holds like 1,000,000 saves, and I was trying to use it as a Game Genie card, because on the GameCube back then, the Game Genie, if it was Game Genie, it was something like that. You had the disc, and then you get given a unique memory card that you have to have it saved onto to put in slot 2, and I was into like consolidating, if that's the word, like putting all my eggs into one glorious basket. So I had all my saves for all my GameCube games: Eternal Darkness, Melee, Super Smash Bros., Mario Sunshine, Hit and Run, Double Dash, F-Zero GX, Time Splitters, WarioWare, just everything. I had it all on one memory card. And then I also put the Game Genie one on there, and I tried using that as the secondary memory card while I was messing around in Melee, because I was trying to check out the debug map and there was a lot of crashing. So it crashed and it wiped the entire memory card, including all my chow. So the intro for this one is just random lols, guys. The signs where else you could see me online if you wanted to. I used to play Urban Dead back then. I can't remember how it worked at all. It's still going because I looked it up. So I never got any actual hat mail, really. I don't think I was important enough. Just generally kind of immature, or what I'd personally consider overly critical reviews of my Flash movies. Possibly the hate mail thing was me wanting to do something like Maddox, because I was into him back then. My mate's websites, well, you can guess why it's empty. I think it was meant to be like a web ring, which was a thing I did try to have in my previous websites. I remember making sites in Notepad and then Dreamweaver using HTML in there and having a partition in the left of the menu like I showed before. Man, I tried so hard to make stuff cool and it's all gone now. Just like Flash. Do you guys actually know what a web ring is? Because my generation, born in 1990 and around there, we're in a very weird position, because people born after about 2005 or so, they're just born into this thing where you've just got super phones that can do anything and the internet's become an established thing. Back in 1990, well, I actually got the internet around 2001 or so, but back then it was just a wild west, it was crazy. It was like the way in Atari and then I guess PlayStation 1 was just this weird wild west of stuff. If you look at PlayStation 1 titles, they're bonkers, the amount of different stuff going on. It's just everyone's trying to have their own mascot character for Sony. Everyone's trying to do 3D, everyone's trying to do everything. There's really weird puzzle games like Devil Dice and Cruci, I think it's called IQ in other places, and Cooler World where you're the beach ball with weird gravity issues going over blocks. Anyway, back in the day on the internet, it was just really weird. Hypnospace Outlaw kind of gets a bit of that across as well, though possibly a bit before my time. So with links, it's just me wanting to share some stuff I thought was cool and thought others might enjoy too, really. The Mario head is obviously a trace from that one bonus stage made music video of Mario with the Average Man song from Real Big Fish. There's a music video on Newgrounds. I'll leave a link in the description to their YouTube upload, as I never did credit them for that face. I did trace it, by the way. Looking at the description of their video, I should maybe be crediting Dave Kelly as well, because they did the main drawings. With link stuff, I tend to just try and name drop a lot of things and show things that others might be interested in. Because a few times something has been mentioned that I've liked the look of, and then they thankfully told me what it was called, and then I went and looked it up myself and became a really big fan of it. And I think about how things like that happen with coincidences and chance, like just random chance that you just happen upon something at the right time, and then you follow it and it changes your life for the better and it enriches you, it gives you inspiration. I really like that kind of stuff, so trying to have as much of that as possible seems like a good idea to me, to help others. I used to host my Newgrounds stuff on my website as well, including some of the stuff I'm showing here later on. I'm unsure why I felt like the need to record the stats of the Newgrounds stuff on here though. Some of the buttons don't lead to the right places too, as you probably saw. It's probably a bit late to fix that now. Glitches. So I'm a bit embarrassed by, well, okay, all of this stuff, but this one is one of the worst. I was, and still am, really into glitch stuff, especially the old Pokemon games, the original 2 gens on Game Boy. That's, you know, Red, Blue, and Gold, Silver. The games on the original Game Boy felt really strange and kind of scary sometimes. The occasional brutal Pokédex entries probably didn't help that. The place just felt so empty and kind of glum. The music only having 3 channels or whatever really didn't help. It was a really good feeling though, very sort of liminal space kind of feeling. The thing with the glitches was that in Pokemon as a game, you'd play it for a really long time, especially as a kid where everything seems a lot longer than it is. So you get used to the game to the point where you feel like you understand its reality, like how it works, the rules, how the place just is. You feel like you're kind of there. You start understanding it as an actual space, rather than it just being a bunch of code and hexadecimals. So the fact that Missing No and the Glitch City glitches were just kind of there, waiting to be discovered, were really just very interesting to me. All the weird stuff going on, it was like beyond Lovecraftian stuff. It was like finding the loose thread of reality and tearing it asunder, seeing what chaos lies beneath it, that our reality seems to be shaped by, but through a safety blanket. I liked it. I remember doing this whole section about meeting the cool trainer mail symbol guy in the sea in Cinnabar Island, you know, when you go up and down to see Missing No and the Safari Zone Pokemon. Because you run into him like an actual wild Pokemon encounter, there's nothing before it, it just does a transition and then it's just his cool trainer mail symbol. And all his Pokemon are glitched to hell, and it even mutes some of the battle music as well. It makes it really eerie and minimalist. In fact, I'll play my recording of it for the rest of this section. I learnt about Glitch City from this weird unofficial book that was written by a mother and her kid, I think. I read a few of those kinds of books. I don't know if it's the same authors or not, but I remember a Dragon Ball Z one, where it almost made me die laughing at the idea they gave me about some homeless guy in a bus shelter putting his hand out and grunt shouting "Yeah!" at you. I forget the context. I guess they were trying to explain Kai blasts and the way that you'd shout to make it stronger or something. But yeah, be sure not to steal that graph I did years ago that you can't read, that I put credit on twice. I like this glitch man I made out of Missing No. I've saved the image from my reference folder for Friend Shapes, which is an RPG Maker game I wish I was working on right now instead of making this. I guess I wanted the site to be a nice resource for gaming interests. Right, well that's done. The next one's even worse. I wasn't a fan of Sonic Heroes much at all, but the music was really good. Especially as the kind of secretly edgy teen that we all are at some point in our lives. I didn't get far with this one though. I think it might have been after Eggman, I'm not sure. I think this is a forum signature back in the day. It's weird given I never actually used Lester Nightcraken, who's the main character of Another World who's at the front there, or the weird bit trace Mario and Sonic in any animation outside of the menu. I was learning Photoshop as well as downloading ActionScript and seeing what I could use in my stuff, and I saw some photo masking, and this happened. So I watched the American The Ring with my dad, and I actually really liked it. The whole mystery and the researching it and the tape being so strange and dread-inducing, especially the sound design. It didn't help that when we were watching it, we got a phone call that evening. It was like 8, maybe 10 at night. And this was just after seeing the VHS scene where you see the whole cursed tape, and it's like, you get a phone call in the movie and then she goes, 7 days. I had to go and answer the phone, and I remember hesitating to pick it up. I was worried what was going to be on the other side. Was it going to be an omen? Was the tape actually real somehow? On the other end there was some loud music and what sounded like a Jamaican man who was instantly apologising and said they had the wrong number before hanging up as soon as they heard my voice. Like I picked up the phone and said hello, and they went, "Oh, wrong number, man," and just put it down. So this is more the ring stuff. I suppose I was trying to do something similar to the VHS from it. I filmed some stuff in a very small wood near my house in London and took some pictures. At least I assume that's where it was. I'm thinking the character now is based off of David Firth's Salad Fingers, as I am a big fan of his work. They show up in the cast ending scene of Mara's New Secret Weapon Part 3 on the left of Probably. Probably is someone gonna have to explain soon. Oh jeez, I wasn't going to include this originally as it's personal and kind of, well, I wasn't going to say stupid, but I don't know. It's something. All I can say before going into it was I was an only child. I had basically no friends, and none of them ever lasted if I did have them, and most of it I was kind of a designated omega in any group, so I'd just get teased and messed with if they were bored and nothing else was going on. I was a very lonely child and teen. I still am really, though I've got some really good supportive online friends now. I'm also 99% sure I have alexithymia, which is a personality type where basically, at least in my case, you can't understand or label your feelings well, and can't deal with the feelings properly, as you can't understand what the feelings are. It was quite a thing when I read the Wikipedia article on it and realised it was describing me almost down to a T. I didn't know I wasn't playing with a full deck emotionally, and it made me feel like I'd been missing out on so much all this time. That was only 2.5 years ago, but shortly after that my mum was diagnosed with cancer and died 3 months later, so I didn't really have time to look into it. But I digress. This isn't as serious as all that. I'm just trying to say where my mind was at the time. So simply, I was infatuated with Professor Hutchinson from Rocko's Modern Life, because she was always smiling and happy and supportive, something I lacked around me as a kid, plus she was a professional at a lot of jobs, which was a very cool thing. She was very self-sufficient. It was pretty bad how much that infatuation was hurting me. I'm sure we've all done stuff that's something like this, or an equivalent that we'd rather no one know, but I think sharing it helps others understand us and lets them know their own secret shame things aren't that uncommon. You know, we can forgive ourselves and move on, rather than just saying what an idiot I am for the rest of your life. I hasten to add that this infatuation wasn't sexual at all. It was entirely emotional, and still is, in fact. I just wanted her to be happy. Oh boy, I had like a full-page colour print out of a screenshot of her from the show, and I put it in one of those folder jacket things to protect it from rain, and I'd listened to a song from Wild Arms called From Anxiety to Impatience, which has been playing during this, and I'd just cry my eyes out over and over again on the sofa. It happened quite a lot. My parents became concerned as I wouldn't tell them. I tried to pass it off once to my mum about me being sad that she kept smoking because she loves smoking more than me, because I thought I could at least get something positive happening, but yeah, she guilted me about that later. I eventually told my mum and she just burst out laughing at me. Anyway, I'm not sure what I was doing when I made this. Was it me trying to say goodbye to the feelings I had for a fictional character that couldn't ever know I existed, so perhaps I could just keep living? I'm not sure. This did happen again with some other characters, but I've learned to deal with it a bit better since then, I hope. The ones that come to mind are Android 18, Freya from Final Fantasy IX, Neferpito from Hunter x Hunter, Abba from Guilty Gear, Kakanoe and Taokaka from Blaze Blue. Also, you're probably starting to see how I depicted myself as well back then. As I said before, I was a big fan of robots, but also of unapproachable and cool characters such as Albert Wesker from Resident Evil, and also James McCloud from F-Zero, who I know is based off of Fox McCloud's dad, only he's a human. Also Hazama from BlazBlue, and Android 17 is probably in that category as well. In fact, I liked James McCloud so much that I actually got a bleach job on my hair right in the middle as a big strip, so if you ever see that in any of these Flash things, that was real. I was just like James McCloud, only not the same at all. I don't think anyone actually noticed it, but it was there, and part of my self-depicted design later on, as well as a scarf, which was actually a reference in part to There She Is, as it was one of the best things on Newgrounds back in the day. At this point, with anyone who animates Mario Flash movies, they probably have all tried to do this at some point. They've all tried to animate to this song, and not everyone has actually gotten around to finishing it. I did have like a plan to it, but it just didn't happen. I still hear the intro as whoa 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 whoa, watch that cow have a shit! And I still wonder what that voice clip of that kid is, the one that's going, have we been breathing? The angels know if you've been. And then it goes weird. Is it breathing? Is he saying breeding? I don't even know where that's from. I mean, I'd love to know the origin of that after like 17 years of wondering. So this one, it seemed I just tried to recreate the intro to the last boss on one of my all-time favourite games, Dynamite Headdy. It looks pretty legit until the transition. The game's version of the background looks a hell of a lot better than what I did. It may be a bit of a spoiler, but I was inspired by this boss for the final boss of my game, Enhanced. Play it today, with the same trippy scrolling background and having the boss appear on either side of you and having some random attack each time. You should play Dynamite Headdy, and then play Enhanced off of Game Jolt and Steam. Buy both, why don't you, to see what I mean. I barely remember this one. I wanted to make a bunch of small, totally unconnected skits and put them together. The first one was me showing that I like the band Mindless Self-Indulgence. The Close Encounters of the Third Kind audio was my dad doing it on guitar, but he messed up a note, which I reflected in the ship's colour changing. Another random fact that you probably don't need to know is I discovered Mindless Self-Indulgence on YouTube through one of those AMVs, animated music video things, and it was Resident Evil 4, of course it was, so it's probably still on there. In fact, Stupid MF, and I heard with a bunch of footage from Resident Evil 4, and then I looked up the band and got really into it. I'm still a big fan of theirs today. They did the boss music to Lollipop Chainsaw, which is really good. The music, not the game. I couldn't get on with the game. So yeah, I'd obviously played Time Splitters 2 on the GameCube by now, so I had Ed Atlan's Space Tree characters and the Knights from Tom Fulp's Castle Crashers be in it because I had the gifts dancing. I think I saw the first Omen and thinking the little kid was a little bastard who'd be easy to get rid of, really. So I thought, why don't I put Mr. Chainsaw Ganado in there, Dr. Salvador, why not? I'm not sure why the forest is all creepy and ash white though. Also, that probably was my voice being him as well, just pitched up. After doing the Be Safe remake proper, I did want to make WD a proper character and have a bunch of references. This resulted in these two videos, the audio being from the Earthworm Jim show.
They finally did it! Gosh darn them! Gosh darn them all to heck!
They did what, Jim?
I mean, I like advertising as much as the next person, but this is just plain bad taste! Peter, I have a feeling we're not in Turlock anymore.
Well, duh!
As previously mentioned about Mario Power Tennis's intro being one of the best intros I've seen in a Nintendo game ever, some of that kinda went into the work guide too here. Have a look.
Moving about the workplace. Remember.
Peter has just what would happen in real life. So remember, kids, just say no to running into walls. It may not be the cool thing, but it's the smart thing.
Use a gangway provided you never take any
I'm a Wario. I'm gonna win. Mamma mia. And I'm a Waluigi. That gives me an idea. Stupid.
I was also showing my love of Wario Blast's music as well. It was my first Wario game, and the music is still killer to this day. Really great stuff for a Game Boy game. I'm not sure I got the influence for the stylized Wario. I think I got the design idea from a WarioWare game or somewhere else, I'm not sure. God, this is gonna be a big section here, so strap in. This is about the original Unoriginals. I need to explain some of this first. So I mentioned somebody called Probably a while ago. I was a member of a forum for Space Tree the Space Tree in Space. It was an animation series on Keen Toons, made by Ed Atlin, who also used to be known as Yellow Jumpsuit on Newgrounds. I joined the forum in 2006, which I know from this weird screenshot edit thing highlighting that I'd made 1,000 posts. I found Space Tree when I Google searched zombie like 14 years ago, and one of the results linked to one of the episodes that featured Fourscore Jones, Hunter of the Undead. I remember trying to tell a guy at school about Space Tree. I never got the chance because he chose to mistake what I said as searching for zombies using the internet, as in seeing if there are zombies using the internet or something. He was one of those people that just insults others and then cringes back waiting to be hit, and they can be all friendly, but if they get any dirt on you they'll spread it everywhere. He was a right twat. Though he did lend me Resident Evil 4, which is where I got to play it first, before getting it myself. I remember him saying that the El Gigante that gets dumped into lava starts swimming around in it, and it was really like that. Anyway, so I was friends with a bunch of other fans of Space Tree for a couple of years, and for some reason or another we thought, well, maybe I thought, that making our own Flash series would be cool. I think it was Probably, also known as Malian, who came up with the name The Original Unoriginals, and he did quite a bit of random concept art for it too, as well as this menu for a website when we got episodes going. All made by me, of course. As a joke, I literally used his rough sketch of it and put it in Flash and put buttons on it. This is the first thing I animated the Space Tree forumites in, possibly even before the OU was a thing. I'll be honest, I hadn't actually seen MST3K when I made this. I just randomly had the song on my PC for some reason. That happened quite a lot. I'm still not sure how all those audio recordings of Chris Rock got on there and Richard Pryor.
That's why we put together a little musical presentation honoring one of our favorite garments. It's a little thing we like to call pants. 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 Sing the praises of pants. Nothing better shows my taste than what I wear below my waist. Say pants. Pants. Sing the praises of pants. They help me suck in my guts, they always cover up my butt. Oh, pants! Pants! Sing the praises of pants. Wear them and you're a cool guy as long as you zip up your fly. Pants! Pants! Sing the praises of pants. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Consider the pants. You know, the Pant Association urges you to wear your pants at least 3 times a day.
The great men of our time have all worn pants. Roosevelt, Churchill, de Gaulle, Gandhi. Well, almost all of them.
Dolphins, one of the smartest mammals on Earth. Do they wear pants? No, but they wish they did. That's how smart they are. What keeps our legs all warm and hot? Pants.
What prevents a buffalo shot?
Pants. What have they got that I ain't got?
Pants.
Oh, you can say that again.
The first MST3K I saw was the movie one that was ironically shorter than all the other episodes. Was it This Island Earth? I think it was. I remember I loved it, especially for some reason I laughed a lot whenever it was just saying Little Weenie Man to the rescue, to the Weenie Mobile, etc. My dad saw it on the TV guide, and we watched it, and I didn't see it again for years and years. At least that's what it felt like, years. Eventually I found them, and I'd already forgotten what they were called. I ended up finding it on YouTube, and watching some go, oh my god, I've hit the mother load. This will take some explaining as well. So I was a really big fan of F-Zero GX, for how much thought and effort and detail they put into all their characters. The game didn't need to have a theme for like 41 races, but it did it anyway. Some of they're all very, very catchy songs. I wish they'd do more with F-Zero. As you'll see, I took a lot of influence from the profiles that you could check out in F-Zero GX. I remember there was some friction with Cheshi, one of the forumites, because I asked everyone to choose royalty-free free source music from a website as a theme, and then for myself I just took a good section from Sayonara Senorita from Real Big Fish, and he got a bit pissed off because it's his favourite song. He's like, why are you having the good thing? I did end up changing it. I suppose I just thought I deserved something special here and I put all this together. Though everyone else here did write their own info and what audio animations they wanted. Honestly, I don't remember all these people too well. I'll try to say what I can remember. Forgive me if I get it wrong, guys. Also feel free to say hi, I haven't heard from almost any of you for like 13 years. I get the feeling Propellerhead was probably a Wake and Baker. I'd not be surprised if half of them were, to be honest. He was cool though. I remember him graduating and posting an image called probably too much Propellerhead.jpg, which was him holding his newly gotten diploma in front of his naked thighs. I did upset one or two people. Rutler was pretty young to be on the forum. I was 16 at the time, as I remember updating my profile at 17 after my birthday. Yeah, Rutler was a cool dude, which is very hard to do at 11. Who and Microwave were both pretty edgy, and I can't tell them apart in my head anymore. Speaking of edgy, Broden had to be the most edgiest person ever, like worse than Reaper from Overwatch edgy. Never did understand him. He'd randomly post Guru Death Hentai shock stuff on the forum for no reason, and no one needed to see that. Cheshi was a Scottish guy. He was cool, we just didn't always see eye to eye on things. He said that he made the avatar symbol himself. It's a cool design. I like the animations I did with it. Woody, definitely a drug guy, but he was always chilled out and accepting. He was cool and his English was nearly perfect, as he was Scandinavian, I'm pretty sure. His name was a joke from Who Would? The Commander Would, which is from the Space Tree. Probably, also known as Malian, is one of those people that has a brilliant imagination and will just have to make stuff for the sake of it and probably not show anyone really. The Horse Force 4 song was by Malian himself, and I think I made of his, the singing. The lyrics are hilariously strange, and the entire song with all the lyrics have stuck with me since first hearing it. He contacted me early this year, which was a lovely surprise actually. He's even married now, so congratulations Malian. I hope this video doesn't like shame anyone who used to be on the ST forums too much, but hey, I'm bearing my wretched teenage soul for all to see, so it's not just them. But yeah, Malian was a bro for sure. Lone Wolf was this Aussie guy who was very cool and friendly. I miss him a bit when I see his profile here. I have this vague memory of him trying to get me to join a communist forum, but yeah, I don't know. Dumo, I can't for the life of me remember. I think he joined the forum much later, as we didn't start the OU for a year or 3. If he's in here, he must have been pretty cool. From what little I can feel out in my memory, he was a cool guy, which again is quite a feat whenever you're 11 trying to look cool to a 16-year-old like me. Stickman was cool and creative in that editing existing stuff in MS Paint to make it funny kind of creative. I don't know if the term shitpost was around all that much back then, but it was definitely what he was doing. He was cool. I convinced him to join DeviantArt at one point. He did, but he got in trouble with random fans of Control-Alt-Delete because he started posting edits of it. A fan got really indignant about it and was like, "I won't stand for this," which gave him a laugh. I don't have the edit in question to hand, sadly. What I can remember from it, there was an object head console of Xbox saying Xbox, more like Sexbox, in the last panel though. Rod, I can't remember at all, other than he was probably pretty cool. Professor Flat, here he is. I can't remember who unoriginally designed him. I want to say it was Malian. I do want to have Professor Flat be in the stuff I wanted in the future. I enjoy his character quite a bit. While they weren't that involved in the original Unoriginals, some honourable mentions are Cheese Loving Tree, aka Luke, who's an Irish lad that probably doesn't live that far away from me now. He and I were really close back in 2015. In fact, we went to do some blocking and trolling in Half-Life Synergy, in a friendly way. Like, not just mindlessly, like he was talking on mic and being a comedian and being silly as always. And in fact, that's where I came up with my troll name, which was John Segway. As you can tell, the name stuck for a while. In fact, it was read out loud and even commented on by Paul Gannon and Eli Silverman in their podcast The Cheap Show, as I was a patron of theirs, which is really something to me. In fact, I still am a patron on there, I just changed the name, so. Cheese Loving Tree and I palled around a lot online. I think he went a bit off the deep end and just wasn't around for years. I talked to him a year or so back and he seems to be a bit better, but a lot's happened for both of us in the years apart, so things just didn't really stick. I still consider him a close friend, even if it was like 14 years ago. I'm hoping he's still doing his comedian stuff, because he was a really funny and smart guy when I knew him. Great voice, great charisma. In fact, the "even the passenger gets in trouble" line from the last video I did, the Law for 5 Kids mega mix from the last video, that was him. I just dubbed over "stab victim" over it. Also, there was So Negative, a really smart Aussie guy who saw what a train wreck original Unoriginals was going to be and wanted no part in it. And at Elin, whose name I cannot pronounce, who was German, Slovakian, Polish? Maybe Polish. English wasn't his first language, but he was really lovely. I miss him too. I miss all these weirdos, and I don't know why I eventually left the forum. I just tend to leave every group I've ever been in. Here's a blast from the past question. Does anyone here remember getting their completely legal video game music soundtracks from Galbadia Hotel? Or is it Galbadia? I probably didn't pronounce that right, but I do remember seeing Sexy Parodius listed on there, and I was like, oh ho ho, what's this? And the music wasn't exactly titillating. Instead, it was just mental and fun. It's a cool series. I had a bit of a go on it a few years ago. One of the tracks inspired me to make this parade thing as an intro. I remember it being suggested that our broken bodies at the bottom of the cliff should spell out the original Unoriginals at the end, but I didn't really want to do that. The fox at the back is Atlan, named after Ed Atlan. He was just kind of there. While nearly everyone else is based on an avatar from the Space Tree Forum, Atlan and Dwight there in the background, and Professor Flat were just original characters. I do like Atlan's design. I think his first design was by Propeller Head. Dwight's the guy in the background. He's the landlord running the place where everyone lives. He was voiced by Wurtler, I think. There's a voice test of Wurtler doing his voice, and I tried to do some lip sync to it, but I won't embarrass poor Wurtler any further. I mean, he's got to be in his mid-20s now.
Now, as you can see, we have a probably.
No, that's probably. I've got abs, you know.
Whatever. So, what should the dude of your dreams be like?
He would be about 6'4", with a large. Wait, dude? I don't date dudes.
What? Are you a les or something?
Are you blind, man? I'm a dude. Look at the facial hair.
Ah, yes. It was the glasses that threw me off.
Okay. Next question.
What was the most stupidest thing you ever bought? Ever?
I bought this weird vest. That was the site of a civil war between the tiny Westerners of New Hampshire. But it turns out I can't wear vests anymore. I've gotten fat again.
Ah, yes. Moving on. If you only had 10 minutes left till you would die, what would you do?
Die? Die? I'm gonna die?
Well, no. It just says on the card that...
Tell me the truth, Doc. Tell me like it is. Am I going to live to see my brother's wedding?
I assume... Wait, what are you talking about? It's just a question.
Just a question? This is my life here. Don't screw with me. The ducks will die if I'm not there to save them.
Ducks?
Yes, the poor ducklings. I have to go. They need my help. I will die on you, duckies.
We interrupt this unoriginal broadcast to showcase yet another brilliant commercial from the guys at Conspico. Tooth cleaning toothpaste. It'll clean your teeth so good you won't even be able to see them.
Conspico will take no responsibility for actual loss of teeth. They contain toxic radioactive contaminating ingredients.
But it is also biodegradable. Eco-friendly first.
If you had 10 minutes left to live, what would you do?
I'd probably summon my arcane godly powers to evaporate your soul for breaking the news to me.
What?
You're plan to keep me here all day, or are you going to ask me the next question?
What animal do you think represents you?
Definitely a fox.
Why?
Because I'm one hell of a cunning guy. That and the fact that up until 2004 I was lawfully hunted for sport in the UK.
Interesting. Wait, what?
From the creators of Alarming Clocks, Babak Hoover, and Raby's Bath Bomb, and many more astoundingly original products, comes the next must-buy creation from your friends down at Conspico. The wristwatch everyone on your block will want to watch out for, what's to watch. Impress your friends with what time it is.
Okay, here we have, Red Glare.
What?
Were you asleep just there?
No.
Well, you are, but whatever. Anyway, I'm here to interview you.
What? Oh, you're ready. Don't tell me I was going to be interviewed.
Yes, they did. You were just drunk.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, anyway, if you only had 10 minutes to live, how would you spend it?
I'd stuff a live bomb down my throat and implode.
Okay, anyway, what animal do you think represents you?
Gorilla.
A gorilla, eh? That's a rather unusual animal to choose. Care to tell us why?
Because I'm not like him. I'm strong, I'm agile, and I can do a good impression.
Really? Let's see that. Oh, that's really good. Great. What animal would you be if you could be one?
Animal, hey? Well, I've always wondered what it would be like to be some kind of freak of nature. Maybe a giraffe.
Any reason for a giraffe?
Do you know how long a giraffe's tongue is?
I don't want to know. Continuing, what should the dude of your dreams be like?
Alive, because, yeah, there was this one time.
Anyway, what was the most stupidest thing you ever bought? Ever?
Well, once we went to the zoo and bought these little packets of food at the children's zoo. Well, it was good, till the penguin got a hold of the bag. Then he...
I see. Moving on swiftly, if you only had 10 minutes left till you would die, what would you do?
Sing!
Sing?
From your favorite company, Conspicon, comes a totally new product you'll just want to buy straight out the view in this commercial. The B-Bro TVO, the television that watches you. Wow, Mommy, it really watches me. Another fine product from your friends down at Conspico. We now return to this original, unoriginal broadcast.
Yeah. Okay. I have 3 questions for you. What?
Daddy, I don't choose drugs.
What is your favorite animal and why?
I'm not on weed.
Yes?
Sheep.
Why?
Well, last night, 3 of them walked into my room and...
That's disgusting.
What? I use their wool to keep me stuff warm, eh?
Oh, well,
And then it started getting hot.
What?
So, threw them all.
If you had 10 minutes left to live, what would you do?
I would die in a lemon.
Yeah, okay, final question. What should the dude or dudette of your dreams be like?
Really?
Next interview.
It's the alarm clock of the year. Courtesy of your friends at Conspico comes the ticking sensation, the alarming clock. Your kid will get to buy it built it with our ultra-easy building manual that even a retarded compact disc could do. Then, after making the alarm clock, your child will be brought back from their adventures in Dreamland in style by the clock they make with their own two little hands. And for those who wish to stay in Dreamland any longer than the alarm does, well, two of the items in the pack are two ultra mega super duper explosive sticks of dynamite. Don't worry, it's supposed to tick like that.
Thanks for this interview, Woody.
That's Mr. Woody for you, man.
Oh, sorry, Mr.
Just kidding. Call me the Woodster.
Yeah, whatever. Shall we get to the interview?
Anytime you want.
Okay. What's the most stupid thing you've ever bought?
Good question, Frank.
My name is Tim.
Good question, Timothy. Timothy, that's hilarious.
Could we just get to the interview?
Oh yeah. Sorry, Frank. What was the question again?
The most stupid thing you ever bought.
I once bought me a bread.
What the hell is stupid about buying a bread?
I don't like bread. Pretty stupid, huh?
Why am I doing this?
So, do you have more questions for me? Or are you going to leave me alone with the ladies?
Yeah, sure. What's your favorite animal?
Well, dog.
A dog? Why?
No, I didn't meant dog.
Then why did you say it?
Well, it's something that people say, you know, like, well, man.
Then why didn't you say, well, man?
It doesn't matter, okay?
Okay, so what's your answer to the question?
That would be dog.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not kidding, Frank.
Tim?
Timothy. That's pretty fucking hell.
It's not funny, okay?
Man, aren't we pissed today? Are they at the office?
This is my work, and no, people like you aren't making it any easier.
Okay. I'm sorry, man. I'll just let you do your job from now on and just answer the questions.
Finally. Okay. If you had 10 minutes to live, what would you do?
Good question, Frank.
My name's not Tim.
Whoa, what's wrong with that guy?
I don't know, Woody. Now, want to have some fun?
I sure do, baby.
From the creators of such fine products as the grisly death photos of their King's House Beat channel and the Encyclopedia of Six comes a new high quality product, the Shotty Shotgun.
It's me, Wario.
this is the big one. I asked everyone to write their own interviews, including Professor Flat's dialogue, and record their side of it. I did Professor Flat's lines and pitched them down. I'm unsure if I was wise in the way of Audacity back then, but I remember for older things where I wanted the voice to be higher, I'd have to talk really slow while recording on Windows Recorder and then speeding it up. That's it for the OU, apart from two things. Mr. President, which is a concept I made with So Negative, as just totally spitballing the most random stuff, and also a whole bunch of shitpost memes we were doing back before we inside the OU. I remember Chashi saying I should upload a zip file of it all somewhere, like 13 or more years ago. So at the end of the video, if I have time, I'll show them all. They're not going to have any context, and it'll all be very weird and silly, but if you just like random shitpost in-joke humor from the 2000s, I think you'll like it. I really liked Colorado's character in the original Paper Mario. If I remember correctly, there's a reference of him being walled up by Hooktail the Fetish Dragon. The idea that they could just hand-wave killing him off like that affected me a bit. I'm not even sure if it was what was being implied or what, just the idea was a bit upsetting. I wanted to do something with Colorado because he was cool and I think he deserved more recognition. Sadly, I never finished this. I'm not sure where it was going. Maybe I didn't know when I was making it, which is usually the reason why I stop these things. VCam or Virtual Cam was this amazing thing I discovered online back in the day, where you essentially get an object and put some action script on it, and it's treated like the view of the camera. So you can have it be bigger or smaller than the actual canvas that Flash is working on, and it will just resize stuff. So previously my older stuff, to make things look like the camera was moving, I'd have to move, I'd have to tween everything at once and shift the entire everything to the left or the right, or make it bigger to zoom in or smaller to zoom out. With this thing, you just resize it and move it around and it will just pan around. You see that happen in Mario's new secret weapon and onwards, maybe a bit before that. It was revolutionary for me. I remember I made another test of this. It was quite similar, but it had more kind of white patterns in the background, looking a bit more like Count Bleck's castle, and the music in the background was Crag Trotter Flint Cragley's theme from Super Paper Mario. It's probably on my abandoned DeviantArt, really. So, you might recognize the area from Mario's secret weapon, and the start of Mario's new secret weapon. I think I wanted to use almost every single thing I'd ever made and just put it in a big brawl, but it didn't go anywhere. This is me just doing the Mega Mushroom thing from the new Super Mario Bros. Aside from that power-up, I didn't like the game that much. I'm very much more of the original NES and Super NES myself, and Super Mario 64, and Sunshine. I can't take that much credit for this one. It's the Super Paper Mario sequence when you get a star. I think I sort of half-traced it. I really enjoyed that sequence, especially later on when you get it and then it runs out and then you see a turtle getting it and they have their own sequence, the exact same one, only they turn into a giant 8-bit turtle and it chases you down, smashing a bunch of stuff in the way, and then you get a star yourself and then you get your sequence again the whole time. You have to wait for it and then you just run over them. Man, I love that game. Despite the name and also how I have Edgeworth talk here, I really don't have any problems with fairies. I've been friends with several. At the same time, I was feeling a bit sore at the time about a fairy version of Ace Attorney that was shown to me some years ago. I guess I just thought it was unnecessary and it seemed to be Ace Attorney just furries, rather than it just being its own thing with its own characters like what happened later. I may be wrong remembering it, and this was just a knee-jerk reaction. I've got nothing against them. There's a link to the original video in the description, actually. Speaking of Ace Attorney, the music in the background of this one is Trials and Tribulations Special Blend Mix. The Flash is pretty much a smaller scale of what this video is, just showing stuff I made that either didn't get used or just something I've got in something else that I can show off. The Ash Williams and Sam from Evil Dead Regeneration was there because I was really into Evil Dead Regeneration, the PC game. I used the Evil Ash theme as a credit song at least once, and I used to play it when I was playing Killing Floor 1 as Berserker, as well as a playlist from Drakengard 3's boss themes. P.S. I've not played Drakengard properly, I played the first one a little bit. I adore Nier, I can't pronounce, and Nier Automata, best games. The first Nier had an awful lot of influence on me after all this. You'll see that in my games eventually. I made one or two small comics of Ash and Sam, and that's why they're there. Also, I didn't do these Paper Warrior sprites at all. I just put them in Flash to be ready, and then never used them. From the sprite sheet I looked up on Spriter's Resource, it was by B. Wario, or Wario. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. While looking for it, I saw the sprite sheets of Wario Land the Shake Dimension, also known as Shake It. I would have probably used those and I would have probably used all of those and animate them all in Flash for another Wario V4 if that was ever going to happen. I'd also considered doing Team Fortress 2 based skit animations after seeing Senor Pello's old TF2 in a nutshell videos before he started slamming the tables and screaming, which I still like. So I'd made most of the mercs as Mii's on the Wii, and I was in the process of tracing them so they'd have their own little like style, but then nothing came of it. This is another Ace Attorney one. I mean, what can I say? Ace Attorney stuff is really easy to do, and the audio is from One Foot in the Grave, a 90s sitcom that I really enjoy.
The court then heard evidence from WPC Sharon Banks, who had been posing as a call girl as part of a police undercover operation to trap curb crawlers. I first observed the accused driving round the area very slowly with a shifty look on his face, she said. After a moment he pulled up and called out, "Excuse me, miss, but can you spare me some time?" When I asked what he meant by this, he replied, "I may need a hand pumping this thing up." A problem, I gather, commonly associated with elderly men. The court then heard that a search of Meldrew's car revealed a mind-boggling collection of chains, padlocks, and handcuffs. When quizzed about these by the prosecution, he claimed to have been out that night rehearsing an escapology act. To much laughter and merriment from the jury. And though cleared of all the charges before him, Meldrew was fined £500 for contempt of court after taking the Bible in his right hand and hurling it at the head of the presiding magistrate. Not been a very good week, has it? Perhaps an electric fire in the bath might be the answer.
So here it is, Mr. President. I was spitballing the most inane, weird stuff as Space Tree Forum might so negative, and we came up with Mr. President. He's called that as a reference to Ed Atlin, who is a massive movie buff from the way he references stuff, and he loves referencing movie tropes, such as having a phone call and it ending super dramatically with something like, "I'll see it's done, Mr. President," as like a big name drop. I couldn't find the creative list I wrote for his design while we were talking crap about it, but there's some notes in the first episode he'd been in. He also cameoed in the tube train sequence in Mara's new secret weapon. From what I remember, he's like a Spartan with clown shoes and a hook, and I can't remember what else. It was so abstract it's hard to remember. Most likely my games will have him still as like a media figure, along with another idea I had called Mace Attorney, which is like Ace Attorney but everyone's a knight with a weapon and they just fight while having legal battles. Do you guys remember Nuzlocks? They're still a thing, aren't they? My significant other and I, we used to be really quite into them. They got me into Pokemon again because I fell off of a Pokemon wagon in Gold because it was too hard. I couldn't understand holding items and the whole having to play at night to get certain things. When I mostly just played it while going to sleep, it didn't really work with me. They got me to start playing it again because they were really into it, and I started with Platinum, which was really good. And then I really liked Platinum and Black and White 1. Black and White 1 was almost really good, just they kind of dropped the ball with the story near the end because it's just like, ends actually interesting and raises some moral questions, and Jedis was like, I'm just evil, give me the world. We got quite into Nuzlocke anyway, and we were on a forum, and my significant other did 2 or 3 different ones. I don't know if they finished any of them, I can't remember. They stopped because the forums started getting really toxic. I managed to finish 2, I think, one being what this animation's from, and I made one in MS Paint with Arakune from BlazBlue as a player character. I think that was because I heard about that really weird translation for Pokemon Green, the one that's just strange, and I thought that sounds like Arakune, so I'll do that. I'll see if I can post them here, like all of them. There's a lot of pages, like 70 plus, because they're very easy to do. Oh, and also for some reason I saw one with Best Friend Supreme Commander Tabitha as a main character, the one from Fallout New Vegas. Today you'll die, Raoul! I command it! Oh, Supreme Commander Tabitha says you die today. Any reaction? That's just gotta be the best radio show ever. I would love to just hear Best Friend Tabitha go on about anything forever. Amazing. I still quote it randomly out loud. So as you can guess, I liked No More Heroes 2 quite a lot. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Suda51. I consider that maybe he should just make a really graphic porn game just so he can get it out of his system, because his stuff keeps getting weirdly sexual in and out and off everywhere. It's just distracting after a while. I'm one of the few people who actually liked Jasperbat Jr., as you can probably tell from some of my videos, because I have him in Saints Row 3. I really like him. I actually hated him when I started. I got really, really pissed off with the second form fight, the Titanium Bat one, to the point where I was starting to like scare and upset my significant other. I'm sorry to... But I don't know, I played it so much, I had to fight him so much, I ended up respecting him as an adversary, and I started really enjoying the fights. It's the same thing with Overwatch and Apex and Team Fortress 2 games. I'm not really competitive, and I don't go crazy to try and win, I just want to have a good fight. Like, if I lose, it's okay as long as I get a few hits in and we just have a bit of a dance, you know? So with Jasperbat, it's just madness, just running around and fighting each other constantly, so you'd both get some good hits in it and make the fight very dramatic, which is what I appreciated. So that Nuzlocke green one I mentioned, yeah, it was with the weird translation. It worked perfectly with Arakune and the style I was going for. It's kind of a precursor to me trying to think with feelings rather than logic, which doesn't come naturally to me, as Alexithymia is very, very logic-based and kind of robotic. Oh boy, so this was one of the latest ones I did, which was still a long time ago. I was a big fan of Retsupre, if that's how it's pronounced, about 7 or 8 years ago. I must have seen Darkseed 1 and 2's playthrough, as well as the Ambition series and King's Quest series, at least 7 times each. And the creepypastas that Slowbeef would read out as well, that Diabetes would just ignore constantly like he does for everything. I want to make a creepypasta that used a bunch of in-jokes and elements from the videos I enjoyed by them and smash it all together, maybe link it to them on the off chance to check it out. I'd also been playing Battle Block Theatre quite a bit, and I started making this thing in 2014. I wrote and voiced the whole thing, as well as doing most if not all of the graphics, and it just kind of died off. The Flash only goes on for so long, and the animation just stops. I'll just show what I can, and then show all the different aspects I had at the same time, whenever it reaches the end, and you can just hear the whole of it because you might be interested, I don't know. It's awful.
BloodSeed 2, The Embloodening. I can't get enough of Darkseed. Why, if it were a franchise spanning over various media, I'd have tried them all, hated them, then wished I hadn't as it tarnished the original, then think of myself as a purist. I'd heard down a mysterious forum, whose name I shan't give out, its initials are MD, that Darkseed 2 holds an incredible secret that really does explain everything. Imagine it, every little thing, all wrapped up in a neat little dark package full of seeds. 2. I remember hearing that the game was meant to continue where you control Jack, Mike Dawson's strangely walking cool friend. I figured it must be in the game, but the sequence leading to it is locked. I am an elite hacker, my credentials Hacksaw. So I decided to crack the code on Darkseed 2 wide open and make the secret known to my eyeballs. Being the elite hacker if you will, I managed to locate the ultimate tool for the job, regedit. But this is where things got strange. I managed to open regedit, but to my shock and horror, why, it wasn't like HTML at all. It was all numbery and listy and HKey folders within 3.45392 seconds by my watch, but I hadn't changed the battery all the time, so maybe it was a bit more time. I tried counting each microsecond, but kept tripping up. I was very lost by all this, even more elite hacking tools. Was it possible there was a level above even me? Some kind of meta-elite hacking thing? In all my 5 years of hacking, I'd never seen anything so troublesome. Well, anyway, I had a nap for 4 hours and managed to fix it up so it would work as I wanted when I played it. I shall now detail my every move from start to finish of the game, omitting no detail about the game or my reaction or potty breaks during it. After booting the game, I waited at the title screen for around 3 minutes and 23 seconds, weighing my options carefully until... Well, I finally get to play as Jack, and he's just rode his motorbike out of the dark world and now I take control of him. The music was very strange as Jack enters one of the long walkways that Mike would always start at. Why, it was from H, only it was in reverse, and seemed to get slower the more I had Jack walk. I was really frightened by now, and I thought Jack was too, so I had him go to where Mike used to spawn back into the dark world after death to take a small break. When he got to that screen, however, a message box like from Super Mario World came up, saying, "It's too late, no." And Jack appears from the middle of the screen for a second, just floating there, standing and facing the screen, facing me. His eyes are gone, and he's got blood on his cheeks. Well, maybe he has billiard balls on his eyes that are dripping Tabasco sauce. I can see his eyes around the black holes. Then suddenly, Jack falls clumsily to the ground, as if he wasn't expecting a fall and thought no one was watching. He wobbles stiffly in a Jack fashion before going back to his normal standing position. I had another 4-hour nap as I was totally exhausted. In fact, it was a 3-hour and 53-minute 43.7653 second nap, so I was a little crabby. I think Jack got bored and walked off screen, as when I pressed anything on the game, it goes to where the giant machinery thing with the heads of the people from town are. Paul, the mechanical grass waterer and draw hoarder extraordinaire's head was there, Doc Larson, the doctor who was called Larson, the Mayor Fleming, and Rita? No, dear reader, it was not Rita anymore. It seems that her head was able to escape the accursed demonically evil machine through some magic that turned her to fire being rained on, thus escaping his steam and informing Mike Dawson events over his dead headless mother. Instead, it was Sheriff Butler's head. Damn it, Mac, get me off this thing before it moves again. It makes my head spin, he says in his southern drawl. But I don't think he was really with it, readers, because his eyes were gone. So were the rest of the citizens. All their eyes were gone and were crying, blood. Very realistic blood, too. In fact, it reflected. So you've seen my Carnival of Horrors, huh, Jack? Said a chilling, a bit slightly squeaky, pathetic voice. And in the blood running down Sheriff Butler's face, and exposed brain parts, I could see... No, it couldn't be. He was dead. That tweed coat, that mullet, the stoush. It was... Hey, Mikey boy, long time no see, quips the hard-as-nails Jack, not showing even a glimmer of surprise while turning around, allowing the camera to swing in a 3D arc to show who he was addressing. Only the sprites were gone until the camera stopped, then they jarringly came back, and it was Mike! The background music changed to Original Personality from Killer 7 by Suda51. I never understood the entirety of that game. Oh, and Mike's got a blade coming out of his chest and is bleeding blood and a black tar-like substance. You defeated me before, not this time, says Mike, staring at Jack, his eyes burning with fire. Only they would be, if he had them. He also didn't have eyes. Also, he was crying blood. It was running down his cheeks, mingling with his manly stoush and dripping on the floor with water drop sounds from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, but the Wii U remake one. What do you got to prove anyway, Mikey boy? Jack coolly quips as he waddles awkwardly, slightly towards the abomination that was now Mike, who was also missing his pants, by the way. Always remember to buckle your pants, kids.
You killed me once, but now I am more powerful than you can ever imagine!
Jack? Oh my god, Mike knows my name! How do you know my name? I shriek quietly at the screen. Mike has the audacity to ignore me. Me! And just as I'm about to really give him a lecture on manners, being a fellow gentleman, and about how it was me who bought Darcy 2 with my own money, that Jack pipes up. I know a lot of stuff, Mikey boy, but what I gotta know is this. Give me the scoop. Jack moves and sits in the air next to Mike, who copies him with his arms sort of behind Jack but ending where his bottom is. Why are you doing this now, Mikey boy? Shouldn't this be over? I need to show the world my full potential. I have learned much. The world will bow to me, although it will probably make me embarrassed. Mike stands after leaving his hand where it was for a second. Then his face, oh, his face! It turns black and white and seemingly glitches up. He then grows wings and flaps to the top of the screen. Then my innermost apocalypse from the Binding of Isaac starts playing, only not backwards, and goes with his words. Why am I doing this? Big cut, 4 hours later I wake up. Damn, I'd forgotten to pause during the cutscene, but it seems that I needed to click once more for the dialogue subtitle box to close. It contained Mike talking about his demonic powers and how he'll show them to me. I clicked, terrified of what was going to happen. Mike grows his bionic appendage, which was easier without the pants, and starts firing. I control Jack to move out of the way, and then Mike throws a magnet with Sheriff Butler's head printed on, but somehow crying blood. It lands between Jack's feet. I guess it's really his head that spun in the end, Mike says, cleverly using what the sheriff used to say a lot against him, the devilishly smart man. Mike then launches lots of these magnets as smiley designs of the locals' heads in the machine. I was able to get Jack to dodge them all apart from the last one. I didn't know what to do. It was going to hit. But Jack knew what to do. He stopped and opened his hands with his fingers splayed and managed to catch it like a 1-year-old, stopping its destructive power. Jack then manages to snap the magnet in half. At least I assume so, because he used the same sprites he uses when he attacks Jimmy Gardner. I start hearing demonic voices coming from it. I could tell they were demonic because the voices were low, and one said, "I'm a demon, meh, see?" Mike reels in pain, seeing the Rita magnet talisman destroyed. Rocking in the air, fresh blood and bile cuts and openings appearing all over him.
You're tearing me apart, Rita!
Mike shouts, and I swear I heard what I think was an 8-bit scream. Playtime is over, shouts Mike Dawson. Well, more of a squeal, but then text from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion starts streaming over the page, along with illustrations by Robert Crumb, and the carnival music from Darkseid 2 starts playing. Mike puts both his hands behind his back, while still in the air, and then brings them out, showing off rings. He starts throwing them rather weakly in Jack's general direction and saying, "I missed!" every time he missed. Moving was hard as the floor was now slippery like an ice stage in a Super Mario game from all the blood from the magnets. Then again, they may have bled something slippery as opposed to blood, as blood actually congeals very quickly and becomes sticky and thick. Anyway, Jack quickly crotch thrusts and says, you missed, Mikey pal!" This makes Mike go into a frenzy and throws hundreds of rings, hundreds and hundreds, going whoosh, whee, zoom. Some of the rings actually go around Jack, and he's immobilized. Mike floats down and looks at Jack, at me, and I see twin pinpricks of red light in his eye sockets that turn green as he moves closer, until his face and mustache fill my entire screen. After 5 seconds, and another 4.3594 seconds, he says, "I'm doing this because I'm a terrorist!" Then his head swelled, as well as a demonic guitar riff from Ambition when Duke Crabtree is about to kill you. Spoilers! Then his head exploded with a noise more akin to a duck lure. Blood exploded out of my screen and into my hair and eyes and mouth and nose and clothes and chair and desk and my bed behind me and the wall behind the monitor and my Pokemon posters and my TV and my games and my wardrobe, shoes, speakers, belt, pens, tablet, printer. I woke up 4 hours later after a dream of Mike's head exploding and blood spiders from a town with no name flying out, only with no eyes or sockets, just skin, resin, spider skin over where the eyes should be, but still crying blood, pooping blood too, and a pillow coming from his head to my head and me sleeping. I looked up to find that Darkseid 2 was still running and I'm playing as Mike just outside the carnival. The clown guy is there again despite being dead and gone at the end of the game. Spoilers, shh. Only he wasn't in the booth this time, he was outside, looking at the sky, which was blood red. Only his sprite was the same, so he was kind of a torso floating there. Well, I figured he was looking at the sky because he said, "Watch the big top," which I assume is clown speak for the sky. No offense to any clowns reading, honk. That was all he would say, other than, "I'm feeling lousy, yeah, see, honk." So I decided to try and get to the dark world to see if what happened really happened. Obviously the fastest way is through the mirror maze, as I can almost get it on the 5th try most times. The carnival music starts, but the game seems to freeze, and the first second of the carnival music loops, and new layers of it add on, until it's a huge noise in my ears, making them bleed blood. I recorded it, but it was so loud and scary that it would make you poop yourself and die, in that order. I survived it because I'm a leak hatter, which means elite hacksmer. It kept layering itself until the insane noise becomes something I begin to recognize. That was the secret! Of course! It was so obvious! The message was spelled out so obviously through this story that you'd have to be a dumb person and not a smart person elite hacker like me to see it. It was how the town theme from King's Quest was meant to sound. True story. The end. Also, I lied about surviving it. I'm actually a ghost. And I've been watching you read this right now, grading your reactions. Don't turn around. I love the way the back of your head looks. In fact, I've been following you for weeks, drawing in ghost ink, don't ask, and drawing the smiley faces of the Darkseid 2 cast on it. Everyone can see. You must be so embarrassed. You want to know where ghost ink comes from? Well, it's a secret! It's a secret! It's a secret! Wasn't that nice? I think I got sick of hearing my own voice, and I had second thoughts on how it was written and the ending. It was better in my head.
Speaking of making games back in secondary school, I made an FPS shooter maze game in GameMaker 3D, which is an extremely limited game-making program I got for Christmas once. They went on to make Dark Basic, I believe. The game I made was called Heart of Another World, because I wasn't very creative outside of smashing existing things together back then. Hell, you should ask my English media teacher. All the stuff he asked us to do that was original I just nicked from places, like write the synopsis 4 parts of a movie, and I just wrote the introduction to Heart of Darkness. The game, not the book. Oh, and another Newgrounds thing, actually. He asked us to do a commercial, and I didn't know what to do. I can't remember what Newgrounds Flash it was, but there was a bit in it where it's like, Rice Krispie Treats from Kellogg's with our new retractable blade. And I just recorded that and put it on, and yeah, I got a D altogether. The audio of the game was just my recording of the last screen of Heart of Darkness, which is a game by Erik, who also made Another World, or Out of This World. And it's mostly just, the last bit's mostly just reacting and just moving and remembering enemy movement patterns. It's pretty good though. Also, I love using commas, apparently. To be fair, I do have a bit of a phobia of using full stops a lot of the time, because it feels a bit too official and too final and too cold. I don't know. I remember being asked by someone, as they pointed at the image of Andy from Heart of Darkness, they're going, "Is that you trapped in the maze?" I'm still not sure if it meant me, personally, or you, as in the player character. I'd brought a few of these to school in jewel cases, like this one, only not looking so ratty, and I was trying to sell it to people for £1. I had like 3 potential buyers, and then this one twat that used to half bully me came up and was like, "Oh, what if there's a virus on it, what are you going to do about it?" And I was like, I hadn't thought of that, because why would I give everyone viruses? All I could say was that I could just give a free refund, and he scoffed at me, and then the people that were holding my game, and just the people that had already bought it and were holding my game, they just looked at me and just had me give them the money back and gave me the game back. I didn't try making games again for about 5 years. After all that, I started getting into YouTube. Hey, you guys remember when we used to have our own backgrounds for channels? Is that still a thing? I don't know, but here's my old one. Also, I hit a thing at the bottom. I don't know if anyone noticed. I think you had to like resize the window to see it. I can actually say the origin of this now. My dad bought me this stupid baby mouse as a present when I was like 21. And the image here is so fake and weird. Like, every part of it is just from something else. If you actually look at it, it's just a really weird mishmash of stuff. And that sun is bloody horrifying. It's actually said to be in my Yumi Nikki-like game called Decay. I'm probably going to end up calling it Decaying Dreams, because I want to differentiate from other games that use the word decay. Now, I could make at least 3 more videos on the stuff I've done. This crazy. There's more Flash that I've done, but I've not talked about yet. And one batch would take a lot of explanation, and the other one as well. And then I made a bunch of YouTube poops on my Mech YouTube account, but the channel got blowed up because I posted some Chris Chan videos back there in the day. Speaking of Chris Chan, do you guys remember all the funny YouTube poops about him at the time? Or the unfunny ones, like by me? Because do you remember Slanderous Splinter? They made the Chris Chan is ... series, as well as the Quickies, spelt CWCIKIES. They got their channel deleted too, and they came back as Chris Chan game for a while. Well, that was me. Both of them. I still have the 70 videos I made for that comes in at 8 hours. I still have them right here on my hard drive, and I'd be more than happy to post them all, even if most of them are a bit crap. It's just, I need somewhere safe to put me there where I wouldn't get in trouble, I wouldn't get banned for messing with Chris Chan's videos and implying certain things about him that he's pretty much already flat out said at least a couple times. I don't think I insulted Chris Chan that much. It was more just teasing and using the content he gave out and twisting it around and just making it weird and silly and just making stuff, really. Just content, just funny stuff. And then there's talking about Gmod videos. I'm sure I could think of something to say about them other than I did 20 what happens when Lewis gets his pills variants. So, now I've made about 3 games. Basically remade one of them and got it on Steam. I've learned a bit of Unity and Unreal. I've learnt music on Ableton and FL Studio and done about 80 songs. I've learnt After Effects, and I've made music reacting videos for them. I'm hoping you might check them out sometime if you're not sick of my content by now. Speaking of being sick of my content, here's all the Space Tree forum stuff I have saved. I don't really have much context for it anymore. We'd all try our hand at some mid-2000s meme templates and such, like 300, because of course we did. You'll probably have to pause a bit to see all these and just go through them by yourself manually, because I can't make a video that long, I'm afraid. And given there's time, here is the Supreme Commander Tabitha's amazing, only 4 pages worth of content that I drew myself with no help whatsoever. And given there's even still more time left, here is Green Nuzlocke in its entirety. Well, that's pretty much everything. I could go on and talk about other stuff, like I said, Gmod videos, my video games that I've made, the Chris Chan videos that I made, music I've done, the other Flash stuff I can't really explain without a massive amount of context, which would take a while and is very random and slightly incriminating. And then there's the other stuff I did where I started animating stories by Hans von Hosel, the greatest writer of our times, which I think I posted them here as well years ago. Mostly with Snivies, because I was reading to Snivy at the time. There are so many more stories of those. I sometimes want to make more, to be honest. And I feel a bit more confident talking now that I've been editing the last video before getting the chance to do this, and you get used to your voice eventually, if you know you're recording. I get the inkling to make some more of those ones, the Hans von Hosel animation ones. In fact, there's 2 that I never finished. It'd be nice to go back to those sometime, but, you know, we'll have to see. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I don't mind doing more videos like this if people enjoy this, or I could just never make a video again, I don't know. In the meantime, I'll just be working on game stuff, and music stuff, and just making stuff, really. I don't post here very often, as you've probably noticed. You can check out my Twitter, which I barely post on, but I retweet some good stuff. And if I actually work on games and feel like I can show something, I'll show it there. Well, thanks very much for hanging out with me and just seeing some of my history. Since I started recording the last video, I've been told about this project that's being made called Flashpoint, where they are essentially just saving every Flash thing in existence, and I've already put my Newgrounds ones up for being saved, so they might show up on there. Rise of the Mushroom Kingdom is there, which is cool, and a few other ones I've recognised. You should check them out, they're cool. I'll leave a link in the description as well if you're into Flash stuff. I mean, I assume you are because you've just watched the whole of this. Well, best of luck in 2021. I hope it improves. I can't see how it could get much worse. Don't forget to eat the rich and demand more. And let me know what you think. I'm sure you already know how liking and subscribing works. You don't need me to tell you how it works or what to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. And if you want to be told what to do, why don't you check out Enhanced? It's linked in the description, and check out music from Ratty Records, which is in the description. And check out all the other stuff that's in the description. There's a description at the bottom, you can check it out. But yeah, thanks very much. I hope to make another one of these sometime if people like it, and if not, well... Thanks very much for hanging out with me again. And I hope that you have a great day, great week, great year, great life. I hope this video has helped you in life in some way, even if it's just helping you get through a boring patch of work even. Just, we're all in this together, we're all the same space dust from a billion tree years ago. So yeah, best of luck. Bye!